Hey folks, Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and we're back with part 2 of our DM's Guild sponsored content. This time, we're going to be looking into player options. The prompt that I had was the best player options on the DM's Guild, and then I was basically given free range to go through anything I wanted on the DM's Guild, pick and choose, and pick one, and then I was given that by the DM's Guild for review purposes, and then that's what this video is going to be on. But speaking of player options, there was something that the DMs Guild wanted to stress that I make sure I make important in this video, and that is, even though it's called the DMs Guild or the Dungeon Masters Guild, it doesn't mean it's just a resource for DMs. There are a ton of player options, hence the best player options on the DMs Guild. So they wanted me to also mention that a lot of stuff out there, before people, if they're really truly proud of it and want to make sure they're putting out the best product, and I know this myself from things that I'm trying to do, you want to play test it before it's publicized. So a lot of these things do go through a playtest period, and sometimes they don't, but that gives you the opportunity, the player, to go out and download this, check it out, play test it, and then whether it is either through the review function or the discussion function on the DMs Guild, leave your thoughts and feedback, and then the creator can go in and adjust those. And even if you've already paid for it, you'll get those updates for free. So let's go ahead and jump over to the DMs Guild, and we'll talk about what I picked, which was the Complete Devout Handbook. This is part of the Complete series. You can download the entire thing right now, actually on bundle, looks like for $10, so go get that now. But this is the Complete Martialist, the Complete Devout, and the Complete Arcanist Handbook. We went with just the Devout version for this. It is $11.95 regularly, although again, the bundle looks like that's the way to go. And inside here, I mean, this is a best platinum seller, 22 5-star ratings. That's pretty good for the DMs Guild. And you can see what I was talking about down here. There's the discussion section and the review section where people can leave their reviews, and you can start discussions. And sometimes, as you can see here, the creator will chime in. So if you see things, even if it's simple as typos, you can go ahead and put those in there, and then they'll make the updates. And then you see how this says like, where's like 1.0.3 or whatever? That's like a third iteration. That explains that. So what did we get inside here? We get 4 new subclasses for the 4 divine classes. Monk or devout. I'm sorry, they're devout. That was clever, not making it divine. They made it devout. So that's cleric, druid, monk, paladin. 42 new spells, 36 new magic items. And I'll tell you, they're pretty good. I got a list here of stuff I want to go through to show you here. And check this out, folks. Bookmarks. How many times I got to tell you, if you're going to put something out on the DMs Guild, you better put bookmarks in it. Because it's just it's a simple thing that you can do that will make everybody's life easier. So what am I going to be going over for you today? Well, we're going to do the Prophecy Domain Cleric. We're going to do the Rebellion Oath Paladin, and then a smattering of magic items and spells here. So this is one that's not typically what I suggest. I usually say stick to the parameters that 5th edition has done. Don't try to break the mold just to break the mold. But I think this prophecy domain here is done well. So let's look at it. So it has a new spell in it that's contained in this book. I don't love doing that myself. I like to have the spells be the core spells. And then, if you want to add new spells, you can, but it's fine. So it's Embrace Destiny. We'll look at that when we get to the spells. Guiding Bolt, Detect Thoughts, See Invisibility, Bestow Curse, Clairvoyance, Arcane Eye, Divination, Commune, and Dream. Again, we're going for Prophetic. We've got a lot of Prophecy. Although interesting that they didn't go for Augury, but they went for this new Embrace Destiny spell. Guidance for free is a bonus cantrip at level 1. Guidance is it makes a lot of sense, so I like that. And then they chose this Oracle's Burden, which I thought was interesting because you make a permanent choice at level 1 that is something you pick which one, and it gives you a permanent detriment, but also a permanent benefit. And maybe it's just because I've had more time with 5e that the concept of that is intriguing to me. I could full stop see why you may not enjoy that in your game. But Clouded Eyes, it's your eyes become cloudy and milky. You are permanently blind, but you have blind sight out to a distance of 30 feet, and at 11, it goes up to a distance of 60 feet. So, that's not the worst trade-off, blindness for blind sight. Venerable, your ocular visions only came with advanced age. Your hit point maximum decreases by 1 and decreases by 1 whenever you gain a level in this class. However, your spell save DC and spell attack modifier go up by 1. And that's sort of the wisdom over age kind of a thing, and I like that. And then Withered Hand, you have disadvantage on any weapon attacks made with, you have a Withered Hand, right? Sorry. You have disadvantage on any weapon attacks made with that hand and cannot carry a shield with it. When you roll a 1 on a damage die for a spell attack with a cleric spell, you can re-roll the die. You must use the new roll if the roll is, even if it's a 1. So you get to basically like a re-roll damage for your cantrips or your cleric spells. Then we get Prophetic Visions for our Channel Divinity at level 2. As a bonus action, roll a d20 and record the result. Within the next hour, you can replace any attack roll, saving throw, or ability check made by you or a creature you can see with this foretold roll. You must choose to do this before the affected roll is made. Once the foretold roll is used, it is lost. This is essentially a lesser version of the Divination Wizard's Portent. And I'm okay with it because it's Channel Divinity, and Channel Divinities come back on a short rest, so you can get a lot more use out of this. Cryptic Advice at level 6. As a bonus action, you can give a piece of Cryptic Advice. Once within the next hour after that creature makes an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, they can recall your Cryptic Advice to re-roll the die using the second roll instead. They must choose to do this after they roll, but before the DM tells them if it's a success or failure. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier. So again, now we're kind of going like remember when you told me that? I listened to that advice. It's sort of like a flashback. This is sort of a feature they've done in other RPG systems as well. At 8, you get potent spellcasting, so you add your wisdom modifier to damage you deal with a cleric cantrip. And then at 17, you get soothsaying. When you cast the guidance cantrip, the casting time is 1 bonus action, and the range is 30 feet. That should be changed in my mind, because I'm pretty sure one of the new Unearthed Arcana things we've gotten has basically exactly that. So it's a bonus action, and I think it's out to 30 feet. Maybe you can do this at the same time and basically concentrate on it for creatures up to your wisdom modifier. So like you can break the concentration mechanic and give it to like 5 people at once. That would be pretty cool. Then we're going to jump down to Rebellion Paladin here. So this is your anti-tyranny Paladin, right? So your spells are Disguise Self, Heroism, Enhance Ability, Pass Without Trace, Mass Healing Word, Non-Detection, Freedom of Movement, Mordenkainen's Private Sanctum, Pass Wall, and Seeming. A lot of those are things Paladins don't typically get, and a lot of those are really good spells. Pass Without Trace, Disguise Self. I mean, Pass Wall, if you get to 17, is fantastic. Even Mass Healing Word, as not having it as a Paladin, is nice. So bonus action healing. And then you get your Channel Divinity at level 3. As an action, you could Incite Rebellion, igniting a fire in creatures surrounding you. Any number of creatures within 30 feet that can see or hear you gain temporary hit points equal to your Charisma modifier. Unless a target loses all temporary hit points, it is immune to being frightened, and you have advantage on Charisma checks you make to incite it to action against a tyrant or so on. So it's only going to be Charisma modifier, but I like that those creatures get immunity to fear because you're like using a riot mentality. And then Unbreakable Spirit. When a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is reduced to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to bolster that creature using your Channel Divinity. That creature is instead reduced to 1 hit point, and it gains temporary hit points equal to your Paladin level, and can rise to its feet if it was prone. So it's sort of like a funky death ward tied to your Channel Divinity. Reminder, Paladins only get 1 Channel Divinity. That may be a little on the strong side for all that it lets you do for something you can get back on a short rest, but I'm not too worried about it. Aura of Tenacity at level 7. Your friendly creature starts their turn within 10 feet of you and has half hit points or more. They get temporary hit points equal to your Charisma modifier, so you're just pumping out temp HP. And that goes up to 30 at 18th level. At 15, you get... I really, really like this one because it cleverly reuses Lay on Hands for this Viva la Resistance. When a creature other than you within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction and expend hit points from your lay on hands pool to prevent some or all of that damage. When you do, you prevent an amount of damage equal to the number of hit points spent from the pool. And if you spend 10 or more hit points from the pool in this way, that creature can use their reaction to make a weapon attack. So rather than like reactively healing them, you're proactively preventing the damage. I really like that. And then you get your level 20 crazy ability here, Avatar of Rebellion. As an action, you can become a conduit for outrage of oppressed people for a minute. Can't be grappled, incapacitated, or restrained, nor can you have your movement reduced in any way other than becoming unconscious due to having 0 hit points. If you're subject to one or more of these conditions when you use this feature, the condition ends immediately. Once when reduced to 0 hit points, you can go to 1 instead. You regain this ability at the start of your next turn. And when a creature casts a spell or uses an ability that would frighten or charm you or one of your allies within 30 feet, you gain advantage on attack rolls against that creature until the end of your next turn. It's once a long rest. So overall, very cool. I like the concept a lot. And then we're going to move into spells. So you can see we do have new Cleric, Druid, and Paladin spells. So first up on my list here, we got a nice Elsa art there, is Dispelling Smite, which is kind of a concept I'm surprised we don't have. Like, we have Banishing Smite, Dispelling Smite, basically a smite spell that's going to remove a spell effect, something they're concentrating on. So a 3rd level spell, 3d8 force damage, and then if the target is concentrating on a spell of 3rd level or lower, it ends. If it's higher, they have disadvantage on con saves to maintain concentration caused by the damage from this attack. Either way, this spell then ends. Yeah, so it's a smite spell, so it's bonus action when you hit, and it does that. We talked about I liked Duel of Destiny 2. It's basically a higher level compelled duel, essentially. Until the spell ends, you and the target shed bright light. You're immune to damage, spells, and effects of creatures outside of the duel, and they're immune to your effects. You can't move more than 60 feet apart. You gain 5 temporary hit points at the start of each of your turns, and when you hit the target with a melee attack, the attack deals an extra d4 radiant damage. So you're getting temp HP, kind of like the Heroism spell, and you're getting extra radiant damage, sort of like the Divine Favor spell. And it ends early if you take your turn without attacking or forcing the opponent to make a saving throw, or you or the target drops to 0 HP. And I just like that. It reminds me, I immediately thought of like Duel of Fates, the music from like the Star Wars prequels. I thought that would be an interesting way to do that. We talked about Embrace Destiny because it was one of the Prophecy Domain's spells. So it's a bonus action concentration up to a minute. When you cast a spell, roll a d20. Before the duration of the spell is over, you can replace any attack roll, saving throw, or ability check made by you or creature that you can see. So this is essentially a spell version of Portent, but it only lasts for a minute and it is concentration. At higher levels, you roll and record an additional d20. When you replace a roll, you can choose which one. So you're going to basically, as you're going up, add more d20s to the pool. All right, and then I had Give Life here, which I think was from the Star Wars RPG. Which I want to try to possibly add into one of my games as well. As an action, you spend and roll one of your hit dice, add your spellcasting modifier, and the creature gains that many hit points. How am I going to ignore Sticks to Snakes? One of the greatest spells of all time. So, concentration up to a minute. You transform a bundle or a staff of sticks into serpents. Choose an unoccupied space within 30 feet to throw the staff or the sticks down. They vanish. If it's a staff, it turns into a giant constrictor snake. If it's a bundle of sticks, it's a swarm of poisonous snakes. Creature's current and maximum hit points increase by 2d8 when it's created. The created snake or swarm is friendly to you and your companions. You roll initiative for it. If you don't use any commands, if you don't issue it any commands, it defends itself. If the snake or swarm has an effect that causes a target to make a saving throw, uses your save DC, unless the stakes would be higher. At the end of the spell, if the snake or swarm is reduced to 0 hit points, or turns into a broken staff or snap bundle of sticks. And then at higher levels, twice as many for 6th or 7th level, and 3 times as many for 8th or 9th level. So first up, we've got Ambrosia here. Yep, the food of the gods. So this is a very rare non-attunement consumable, obviously. you would eat it. And the first time you consume it, you get the benefits of a long rest. For every 2 years that go by, your body only ages 1 year, so effectively doubling your lifespan. And roll a d6 twice. And it says each time the ability score indicated increases by 1 to a maximum of 22. So essentially, you could roll and then increase the maximum. The way I would word that is, whichever 2 you roll, your maximum for that ability score is now 22, meaning you can go that high, and I like that. Then I wanted to talk about the Blessed Holy Symbol right here, because there is just, we talked about it, there's just a really lacking amount of like class-specific magic items, and that really irks me, because like in previous editions, you had tons of items, like super specific items for certain classes or prestige classes. We definitely don't have it here. And this is a really simple, this is a very rare magic item. I don't know if this should be attunement or not, but you get a +1 bonus to your spell save DC and your spell attack modifier while using this holy symbol. In addition, it has 7 charges. Whenever you use this feature that would allow you, whenever you use a feature that would allow you to expend a use of your channel divinity, you can expend a charge from this magic item instead. On the last day of each week, the holy symbol regains 1d6 +1 charges. So I really like that. Super clean. Then we've got the Censure of Righteousness. Once again, we have a severe lack of magical things that aren't swords. So this is a magic flail. Requires attunement by a cleric or a paladin as +1 to attack and damage rolls, and has 7 charges. When you hit a creature, you can splash holy water on the target. If they're neutral or evil alignment, they take a d6 acid damage, which ignores resistance and immunity to acid damage, which I thought was pretty neat. And it has a d6 +1 charges back daily at dawn. Oh, Robe of the Grand Master, right? Monk robes. The legendary item requires attunement by a monk. While wearing these robes, you get a +2 to your AC and your key point save DC, 3 to your attack and damage, +3 to your attack and damage of your unarmed strikes. Whenever you start your turn in combat with fewer than half your key points remaining, you regain 1 key point. And as an action, you can concentrate 1 or more key points into one of your hands or feet and slam the key charged appendage into a surface within your reach, creating an explosion of force. The radius of the effect centered on you is equal to 5 times the number of key points you expended. Unsecure objects completely within the area are automatically pushed 10 feet away from you, and each creature within the area must make a strength save. On a fail, they're pushed 10 feet away and are knocked prone, taking force damage depending on the number of key points expended. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage and isn't pushed. For each key point expended, roll your martial arts die. The force damage dealt by this ability is equal to that total. I have this collar here, just like a dog collar or an animal companion collar. They have 2 different versions, a spiked one and a studded one. The spiked one increases the attack and damage rolls, a +1, +2, +3, and the studded one gives a bonus to AC and saving throws, +1, +2, +3. And then the Art of Tea, this weathered book is written in common, details a proper way to make tea, make Uncle proud. When you use this book to complete a 1-hour tea ceremony ritual, which counts as a light activity, you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened for the next 24 hours. And that is it. There's a bunch of other really cool magic items in this book. I like the way they kept they did like different style, like if you're doing like mantis style amulet or like armlet, like a bracelet, then you could do like mantis style and you do something different than if you're doing like tiger or whatever else. It's pretty cool. And yeah, this is just part 1 of a 3-part series covering all of the classes, but all I'm going to be covering as part of our DM's Guild mini-series here is just the complete Devout Handbook. But I highly recommend you go check it out. There'll be a link, an affiliate guild, DM's Guild link in the description. So if you pick it up from my link, I get a little portion of that. And you can use the code GUILDIMMERSION. That's all one word, GUILDIMMERSION. And you'll see it on the screen here, as well as it's written in the description. And that is for $5 off a DM's Guild community content purchase of $15 or more, 1 per customer. And it goes until the end of this year, expiring on January 1st, 2021. So, again, I will be back tomorrow with our final part of our DM's Guild sponsored mini-series with yet another coupon code that you can use to get money off of your purchase as well. So, thank you again to the DM's Guild and Lisa for hooking me up with all this stuff. I hope you guys check it out. Let me know your thoughts on the Devout Handbook. Have you picked these up? Are you going to pick them up now? I'm curious. I need to go get the other two because this one has me so intrigued. I want to see what's in the martialist one specifically because, martial classes they need some love. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.